30 seconds and counting.
Hey, what's good, yo? Welcome back to another video with Anish. I'm joining with Roman, and today we're going to go over some key takeaways from training camp so far. It's been about 4 days now of training camp completed, so we're just going to go over some main points. Yesterday, Mills was struggling in camp. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns, but as it's given, he's only played 14 games in college. He's a third round rookie. Our expectations on Davis Mills shouldn't be too high, and we shouldn't base off assumptions just on one day of practice. So we need to temper our expectations with Davis Mills. I still think that he's just adjusting to NFL game speed, so I don't think we should be too harsh on him for struggling. Obviously, there were some notable plays, like he threw an interception straight to Bradley Roby with no one near, and he wasn't having good footwork, timing, throws behind the receiver. So those were the main issues that Davis Mills was having yesterday. So that that is, yes, it sounds concerning, but I don't think we should overreact from one day of training camp.
Yeah, another key point of training camp so far is that Deshaun Watson is not really getting any reps, or at least any reps at QB1. Like he's going through, I guess, the individual drills, like he's doing, I guess, like the footwork, individual throwing, and all of that, but he's really not doing any teamwork. Like he's not being put in the huddle. He's not being like, I guess, a leader in the huddle. He's just off to the side, shuffling around, and I find that very interesting. I don't know if it's either because the Texans don't want to risk him getting hurt. Maybe they're looking for a trade right now for him, or if they're just waiting for pads to use him and they want to see what Tyrod and Davis Mills have right now, or what the speculation is about that. But I found that really interesting, and there's a lot of different scenarios why Deshaun Watson really isn't participating right now. But yeah.
Yeah, well, one of those could be like either the Texans and interest teams don't want him to get injured in practice. And even if you look at the marketing side of things, the Texans have stopped like marketing Deshaun Watson, either selling his jerseys, having his face on the page or whatnot. So it could seem like a trade is imminent, but we'll have to see about that. And another point is Justin Reed is finally heating up. He obviously his rookie season was his best season. After that, he's kind of fallen off, but he has had some injury concerns. So it's nice to see him finally heating up. He had a almost pick six today. He's making so many plays, flying around the ball. So I think Justin Reed. I think this could be the year, his year, like a renaissance year, for him, and we'll see the Justin Reed of old.
Yeah, another point is that the offense is going to be run based, and it's going to be pretty much the same offense as last year that we ran with Tim Kelly, sorry. So I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to have Tyrod Taylor most likely at QB1 starting off week 1. So I mean, if it's with Tyrod at QB1, I don't really see much of a problem with that. I mean, obviously Tyrod doesn't have the arm that Deshaun does, and he's not as accurate as Deshaun. But I mean, he can still make some throws. He can still get out of the pocket. He can still do some of those zone reads or read options, whatever it is. But then going back to the run thing, I mean, I agree that it should be a run first offense, and that's pretty much what it's going to be. We have three running backs, or three capable starting running backs for a reason, in David Johnson, Mark Ingram, and Philip Lindsay. And it looks like we're going to put them to good use. So that's going to be very interesting to see this next season.
And in terms of Tim Kelly, I think shouldn't be too big of a problem that we have for running the same offense. I think the play calling was the main problem more so than the plays. Like guys were it's just poorly timed play calling at times. So but Tim Kelly improved over the season. So I think him going with the same offensive playbook and whatnot, I don't see that as a major issue. And especially with so many new guys on offense, it's nice to have some continuity, at least from the playbooks wise. And it kind of also gives you some insight about David Culley. Maybe he incorporated some plays to the playbook from like what he's learned in his whole career from the Ravens or whatnot. But yeah, that's just something to note there. And then Nico Collins, I think this guy, you're going to hear his name a lot during the Texans season. He made like a Randy Moss type of play over some guy, and he's just been balling. I think Nico Collins is going to be a starter pretty soon. I think maybe even week one at this rate, with how many plays he's making. And so much praise from Brandon Cook saying he doesn't look like a rookie. He's carrying himself well. So this is going to be a great pick that we got. So Nico Collins is going to be a star soon.
Another young guy that's looking very good is Brevin Jordan. Apparently, he's been getting a lot of tight end one reps, and I've seen that in a couple of videos that the Texans have put out. In the few videos that they have put out, it's Brevin Jordan at tight end one. So I mean, it's gonna be very interesting. I'm not sure if it's because they don't want to risk Jordan Akins getting hurt this early, or if he's not 100%, or whatever the case is. But Brevin Jordan's looked good. He's made a few decent plays. I know he had one drop that was tweeted out by some Aaron, I forgot his name. But some guy tweeted out yesterday that he had a drop. But I mean, it's looked very good overall. And it's gonna be very interesting to see if he's a day one starter or what the situation is. But I'm really very excited for him, and I would expect him to get a ton of snaps going into the season. Maybe not yet tight end one, but he should be getting like a good set of snaps, splitting it with Jordan Akins, tight end one.
Yeah, and another point is the running back room is looking good, and that's really good news considering that our offense is going to be running back based. I think Mark Ingram is going to be one of those names that you think he might have been washed from last season, but I think he's looking good. There was a clip that the Texans put out that he absolutely juked Jonathan Owens. I think he was a safety, and I think he absolutely juked him. So he looks really good, and Philip Lindsay, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and this is what he said about the outside perceptions of the team. He said for some reason they think we're the scum bucket. I don't know what they've got going on in the media. Everyone has something to prove, and they're going to be great dudes in there, and they're also really talented. So I think this sentiment is not just for Philip Lindsay, but for the whole team. I think they're all playing with the chip on their shoulders, something to prove to the media, to the outsiders who don't know what's about the Texans. So I think Philip Lindsay is also going to play with some fire this season, and you really like to see that. David Johnson, I haven't actually seen much about David Johnson, surprisingly. I'm sure he's obviously going to be a starter for our team, but I haven't really seen too much chatter about David Johnson. Actually, I did see that he did get fumble. I think he did make a fumble, so that is a little concerning. I'm not sure who forced the fumble, but that was, I think, the one thing that I saw about David Johnson. But other than that, the running back room is looking solid.
Another thing is that the defensive look has looked very solid. I believe today we had like 5 total interceptions. I believe Justin Reed had 2, Eric Murray had 1, and the other 2 I'm not sure who had them, but overall the defenses look very good. I know it's because today they went against Davis Mills and he's a rookie, a third round rookie at that, so he's not going to be like I guess carving up the defense. But still, for the defense to get some good snaps, to get some good plays, to get 5 interceptions, that's pretty good. I know it's just training camp and they're going to overhype the defense or overhype the Houston media is going to overhype the team. But I mean, still, for the defense to be looking this good in camp with a bunch of new guys, you have to think that's a whole new scheme. It's pretty much a whole new roster on the defense. It's like a roster overhaul. Like almost every position has a new starter, other than maybe I think cornerback and safety. So for all of these guys to go in there and kind of look like they're meshing, and to be playing this well this early on, I believe that's really something to look out for heading into the season.
And the names we've been hearing often is Desmond King, Neville Hewitt, made a pass breakup preventing Brevin Jordan from scoring a touchdown. Yeah, so those are the main guys we've been hearing. So it's nice to hear that we have some real playmakers on this team, and you would hope so with the number of guys Nick Cassero signed on the defense. And another point is that Blacklock slimmed down. He specifically he's down to 290 pounds, roughly 10 pounds less than his rookie season. He's looking much leaner and more explosive. The 4-3 defense seems to suit him a lot better. And we've been saying this for a long time that Ross Blacklock will thrive in Lovey Smith's scheme, the 4-3 system. So I think Blacklock will be also someone to look out for. come week one. I think he's also been pretty honest about his growth in the press conference, and he thinks he'll be a lot better this season. So it's nice to see that he's motivated. He's looking better. He's feeling better. His body's ready for the season. So yeah, those are nice improvements to see from Ross Buffalo.
Yeah. Next year to go over some, I guess, some potential players that could break out, have a comeback type of year, some rising stars, players not to forget about, players that can rebound this year. A player that's going to be a dark horse and a under the radar player, and then a player that could surprise some people. First off, for my breakout player, I have Titus Howard. I believe that's a pretty obvious choice. Last year, he started off pretty good, and then going into the season, he played a very good season last year. He locked up, or he didn't lock up, but he had some very good snaps against T.J. Watt and a couple of good snaps against even Myles Garrett. So for him to have some good snaps, have some good plays against those type of caliber of defensive linemen, that says something. That says that you have a lot of talent, you have a lot of potential, and he's only getting better. He came into camp looking good, looking in shape, and all of that. So I believe that's gonna be a player that can break out for us. For the comeback kid player, I have that as being as Max Sharping. In his rookie year, he played very well. He started at left guard, not week one right away, but over the season, he over time he grew into that left guard spot, and he played very well. I believe he was like a top 17, top 16 rated left guard in his rookie year. So I mean that's very good for a rookie, and I believe he was like a second round pick. So I mean that's very good. But last year he really didn't have the best year. They kept putting him in and out of the lineup. He really didn't get his feet wet, or he didn't really get his feet set in the lineup. So I mean that kind of really didn't do him any good. But supposedly this off or this training camp so far, he's looked pretty good. I believe he had some good reps against Whitney Merciless, I believe it was. So far it's looking very good. Some rising stars that I have is Brevin Jordan and Nico Collins for obvious reasons. They're very exciting rookie weapons for our offense. Nico Collins is a pretty big receiver. I mean that says enough. His college tape is through the roof, and Brevin Jordan the same. And through camp, they've looked very good. They've each made plays. They've each held their own against pretty much grown men out there, while they're third round rookie and a fifth round rookie. I mean, a player not to forget about is John Reed. I believe we drafted him in the fourth or fifth round last year out of Penn State. It was one of Bill O'Brien's draft choices. I mean, last year he didn't really get a chance to show himself or to prove himself, but he is a very talented player. Based off his college tape, he's not a flashy type of player, but he's a guy that's always gonna do what he's supposed to do. Like he's always gonna be in the right spot. And also another thing is he can return punts and return kickoffs. So I mean, that's gonna be something interesting to see if they test it out this year. But I believe we can't forget about him because we don't know what he's gonna bring to the field yet. He really hasn't had a chance to show himself. A dark horse player for me is Lonnie Johnson. Last year he transitioned to safety from cornerback, and we didn't really do him any justice. Two off seasons or last off season, I believe, he practiced the whole off season practicing and training to be a cornerback when he really was gonna go into the season playing safety. The coaching staff really didn't do him any justice by really didn't telling him earlier, and I believe that kind of hindered his development as a player. But this season, over the off season, I'm sure he's been practicing safety, and I believe he can come into this year and really be a dark horse player to look out for. Under the radar player is Desmond King. He's a very high profile player. He's a pretty big name, but I mean, fans are kind of forgetting about him. Like I haven't really seen too many fans like say, "Hey, we have Desmond King," or excited about Desmond King. And I believe he's gonna come into the week one, coming into the season. He's gonna look very good. He's a very under the radar type of player. The next player that I have that could surprise is Jonathan Grenard. He played for the University of Florida. Last year, I believe he had like 2 or 3 sacks. Wasn't anything crazy. I mean, he was a third round rookie, I believe. So, I mean, you don't really expect too much from a third round rookie. I believe he did lead the SEC in sacks, or he won the SEC defensive lineman, some award like that. But he's a very talented player. He can fit very well as a 4-3 defensive end, and I believe he's really gonna fit this defense perfectly. I could see him being a starter, even a starter. So yeah.
Yeah, and some other guys to look out for. I think Mark Ingram's another under the radar guy. I think a lot of people are also forgetting about him that we also signed him. And looking, like I said, looking at what we've seen, he doesn't seem too bad. And I think Lonnie Johnson could surprise us by him getting another year at safety. But other than that, I agree with all the points you said about guys to look out for, and I think this season is going to be strangely exciting because there's just even though there's been so many things we've been through this off season, there's so many players to look out for and see how our rebuild is going to go from now. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on training camp and what's happened. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Thank you all for watching. Peace.